I'm going to let you in on a little secret about communication. I do a lot of communication training in organizations. I also am a coach mentor, and coaching skills is a lot of communication skills because you're trying to help people feel heard. You're trying to help them feel understood. And you're also trying to help them articulate what's most important for them so that they can choose what their next best action is going to be. Coach training was one of the most valuable things that I've ever done. Not only did it give me some additional ways I can add value to the world, but it's added value to all of my relationships because it completely changed the way that I talk to people. This communication skill I'm going to tell you about also is helpful as a teacher. I'm a teacher in a master's program at the University of Pennsylvania, and I'm also doing a lot of guest lectures. So being able to acknowledge people's questions and comments in this way helps. It helps in conversations with my husband when we need to strategically solve problems around the house. I use it with my kids whenever I talk to them. This type of communication comes from something called motivational interviewing, which is a client centered approach that is used in coaching and counseling, but you can use it in your daily life. In short, it's a way of guiding people instead of directing them to talk themselves into what they actually want. But you can use this even whenever people don't need to make changes. You can just use it as a general conversational tool. It comes with a lot of different things. Whenever we're helping people work through problems, it's really a partnership instead of telling people what to do. Because a lot of times when you tell people what to do, you undermine their psychological needs. You undermine their competence, their sense that they can figure things out, and their autonomy that they have a choice in that matter. And you can build relatedness. You can build personal connection with people while they are moving through conversations and even changes. So, looking at your conversations with people as a partnership, as a way to draw out people's most important things, the deeper meaning and values and strengths behind what they're talking about, and meeting them with compassion can really help them. So the toolkit I'm going to share with you, and I can share a graphic that I made for one of the workshops I recently did, and I did not make this up. This comes straight out of motivational interviewing, and you can just look it up as well. The toolkit is called OARS, and I'm going to give you a demo of this. But the goal of how we listen to people is called active listening. It's listening with presence and intention and choosing a skillful response. So, a lot of times when we're listening to either tell them what we're going to say next, we're thinking about that, and we're not actually thinking about them at all. We're not watching them. We're not watching for the nonverbals. We're not patiently waiting. And sometimes it can be hard when people are talking for a long time. Um, to help me stay focused whenever people are talking for a long time, I actually have a word that I come back to help me stay mindful. I just say, like, I say, stay with it, stay with the listening. When you start feeling agitated in your body, it's listening with an intent to build shared understanding of something. So, not necessarily to solve every single problem, but to build shared understanding. And again, you can use this in just general conversation with people, or you can use this in conflict management, or you can use it whenever people are just like at work, whenever people are if you're a client facing person and you need to talk to people. And the last thing is how you respond. This is a skill set that you can't just listen to once or read in a book. It's something that you have to actively practice basically forever. And it feels awkward at first, but it becomes second nature over time. If this is something that you'd be interested in me doing a workshop on for you, like you personally, or for the podcast, all the podcast list community, or for your work, let me know because I'm trying to figure out the best way to help people not just understand and hear, but to actually practice these things. So here are the different things that you can use whenever you are listening to somebody to be better at conversation and better at helping work through a problem, or just to help people feel seen and like they matter. Number one, so OARS is the acronym for motivational interviewing. O is for asking open-ended questions, questions that can't be answered with a yes or a no. Open-ended questions usually start with a what or a how or a why. You can even add a little bit of curiosity. I wonder, or it seems that, and then you can ask a question. So a what, how, why, or when question. A lot of times we ask questions like, do you, are you, will you? And whenever people can answer a simple yes or no, it doesn't allow for further explanation or shared understanding or just even deepening the conversation. So, in general, when appropriate, try to ask questions that are open ended where somebody can elaborate deeper on how they're feeling or what they're thinking about. The second is affirmations. So, affirmations are reinforcing what somebody is saying. So, noticing what the person said and recognizing the skills, strengths, and values of the person, or something hard that they did, just affirming them without actually saying anything, without giving advice, just affirming them. And again, I'll give you an example in a second. The R is for reflective listening. So, reflecting back what they said so that you can demonstrate understanding and give them a chance to correct you if you're wrong. Reflective listening has a lot of different styles to it. It could be as simple as parroting, so literally just repeating back what somebody said to you, and then not saying anything. So just literally repeating back what they said to you. You could paraphrase what they said to you, or you could listen for the deeper meaning of what they are saying to you and comment on that deeper meaning that you think that you're hearing. And last is whenever you're having like a longer conversation, summarizing. So all of these skills, you might notice I use these as a podcast host. I use them all the time. This is such a key insight on how to be a good interviewer as well. If you watch Oprah, she's a master at this. So the summary is reinforcing key points of the conversation to integrate what you've heard. And again, like this might seem overwhelming because you're like, how am I going to listen to all these things and do all these different like remembering what people said and like knowing how they're feeling, and this is a master skill, so it just takes a really long time to practice. And it starts with just doing it in your friendships, in your family, and then maybe branching out and trying it at work. If you want to take one thing away from this to try, if this is too many things, you can use I'll have it so that you can download it on the show notes, and I'll also include it on my social media with a link if you are hearing this and want it. Pick one thing to work on, just one, and don't worry about the rest. And once you feel like you have that one thing mastered, then move on to the second thing, and then the third and the fourth. And over time, it gets easier. Whenever I was learning to be a coach, we practiced this in triads and we did this for a year. So it was a really long process of learning how to do it. And we had people observing us while we were doing it. So I'm going to give you an example in a moment. It's going to be weird because I'm going to be playing two people, but I think the first thing, if you're going to pick one, um, I would pick reflective listening because that helps you just learn how to be a better listener. So try it next time when your friend is telling you about something. I'll give an example. Your friend says, I'm really thinking about signing up for my first race, but I'm not really sure if I can do it or if I have time to train for it or if I should even do it. So is your friend asking you for advice. So what you say back is you reflect back what they said. Hmm. It sounds like you want to do a race, but you're not really sure how to make it happen. So there's a paraphrasing. And then the friend could be like, yeah, like it's something I've always been interested in, but I'm not quite sure how to make time for it. And then you could say, yeah, like you want to make time for this race. You really want to try it, but you're just not quite sure. So you can keep reflecting back what they said, but if they want you to help solve the problem, that's when you add in your open-ended question. You really want to sign up for this race. I wonder what would need to happen in order for you to make time for it. And then your friend would start talking again. So there's an example of reflective listening. If they're coming to you without a problem, if somebody's coming to you just expressing something to you, you can just label the emotion. This is what you do with kids as well. They come up to you and they're like, um, positive or negative. So we'll do I don't even like using the word negative, but a positive emotion. So, oh my gosh, I booked a trip to Mexico. I'm so excited to tell you about it. And then you reflect back their emotion and maybe even with the same amount of intensity. You booked a trip to Mexico. You must be so excited. So there's a reflection and then the emotion. Tell me more. And I actually did some other podcasts for you guys that we'll put in the show notes on active constructive responding. So it's how to respond to people's good news, which we'll also talk about this. I've also done a podcast on nonviolent communication, which also has how people communicate their needs. I don't know if I'm getting this across, but I'm trying to just give you one example, um, or examples of how you can use this. So I'm going to do a summary for you. I talked about OARS from motivational interviewing, listening to people with active listening with presence, intention, and skillful responding, where you can ask them open ended questions with the what, how, why, or when. You can affirm their skills, strengths, and values, which I'll do an example of that. I talked about reflective listening. So saying back to them and either exactly what they said or paraphrasing what they said, and then letting them elaborate more. And then giving summaries, which you are hearing me do right now. I'm creating a summary for you of the things that we just talked about to integrate everything. So now I'm going to give an example of an affirmation. An affirmation is appreciating and recognizing skills, strengths, and values of a person. And these go such a long way for helping people feel that they're valued and that they're understood. You can use these at work in the meaningful work literature. We had Tamara Miles and Wes Adams on here to talk about meaningful work, and this is in their book. We've had Zach Mercurio on here talking about mattering at work. He's talked about that as well. And this also comes directly from the motivational interviewing literature. So, how do you give an affirmation? I'll give an example with my kid. They come home with a piece of art that they worked on. They're like, "Mom, look at this painting I did." And I say, "Wow, I can see how patient you were whenever you were doing that. And I imagine that it got quite challenging at times and you didn't give up." So I reinforced two different types of skills that I saw in them. And then I can tell them why it matters. And now with your patience and your determination, we have this beautiful piece of art to hang in our home. So that matters, so that I have a beautiful piece of art to hang in my home. So there's an example of how you can use that. That's an affirmation. You can use it at work. So maybe you are in management and somebody comes up to you and they completed a task, or maybe they managed a conflict really well. You can say, "Wow, I can see how much you were listening to that person and how you really cared about making this right." That is so helpful because our organizational values are align or like this aligns with our organizational values of community or something like that. You could do that, or with your partner. Maybe you are um, and this actually also goes with how you say thank you to somebody. So maybe you came in and your partner is cooking dinner. Instead of saying, "Thanks for cooking dinner. That's really nice." You can say, "When I walked in the door, I smelled this amazing meal and I saw you here, and I know how much preparation time that takes and how you had to make time for this, and it really makes the family feel nurtured." That's a really different way of saying thank you. So there's some modeling of some different communication skills that you can try. Again, pick one, pick how you ask questions, pick how you affirm people, noticing their skills and strengths and values. You can reflect back what they said to you and summarizing. That's more of an advanced skill, but in a longer conversation, summarizing what they said. I hope that I didn't confuse you with this, but this is so important. And I teach these skills all the time. And I thought, I wonder if I could bring this into a podcast and just try to give some examples of this and also gauge if you guys want me to work with you directly on how we can all be better communicators, because I think AI is awesome. AI is helping us in lots of ways. There's also a lot of ways AI is not helping us by removing our ability to do the critical thinking in our own lives, or there's like a lot of AI work slop out there, just like stuff that you can tell that people just threw into an AI generator or AI tool that like it just literally spit it out and they copy pasted it on their LinkedIn. And I can tell when people have done that, and I don't like reading those things. So um, I digress, but communication skills and social skills are going to become even more important with AI out there doing some of the intellectual heavy lifting for people. So I highly encourage you to pick one skill to work on today. And I'd love to hear back how it goes for you. Stick with it. Give yourself 1 or 2 weeks of doing it, and then notice how your relationships change and how you feel. Notice how people's face changes whenever you communicate with them in that way. I'm so excited that you are interested in this, that you're listening, and I hope I can help you. And thank you just to my team at Palm Tree Pod for their dedication and making sure that these podcasts come up. They had to remind me that I have this solo episode that I would have probably forgotten about if it hadn't been for them. Thank you to you, the listeners. We've been doing this podcast for almost 9 years. That is unbelievable to think about that. I almost can't comprehend, like 25% of my life, almost, I've been doing a podcast. Like, what? Um, So thank you for listening and for keeping me going. And if this is resonating with you, please share it with your friends or with your partner, because the way that we communicate is the glue that keeps our relationships together. And honestly, the glue that I think our world needs: better communicators. So, with that, I am so glad that you're here. And I am with you on this journey of personal growth, adventure, and our mission to be better every day. We'll see you right back here next week.